Okay, ito po ay isang larawan ng huling bisita ni BS Aquino sa Japan at siya ay sinalubong at binigyan ng welcome ni Emperor Akihito. Now, importante po itong mga sinabi ni Emperor Akihito in this occasion, no? Dahil taliwas sa pinagsasabi ni Prime Minister Shinzo Abe na tinuturing ng marami na isang revival of Japanese militarism. Please be reminded, si Shinzo Abe ay third-generation militarist ng Hapon. And Shinzo Abe refused to mention any apology for the Second World War. Para makorek yan, si Emperor Akihito in this visit said, during World War II, however, fierce battles between Japan and the United States took place on Philippine soil, resulting in the loss of many Filipino lives. This is something we Japanese must long remember with a profound sense of remorse, sabi ni Akihito. In other words, nag-apologize siya. He is apologizing for the Second World War, which his Prime Minister, the Japanese Prime Minister, refuses to do so today, with the prodding of the US yan. Because that's why we are raising this second part, the question of who is the Nazi. Kasi sinabi naman ni BS Aquino, yung China ang Nazi, invading a territory. But Ferdy, can you clarify that before I move on to the other issue?
Well, I do not want to be misinterpreted. We are nationalists, we are anti-imperialists, but we have to tell the truth in order to prevent war. I have here the map of the Philippines. It is a map according to the Treaty of Paris, which is an internationally recognized treaty. You can see in that map that Scarborough Shoal is outside the so-called treaty lines of the Treaty of Paris, and the Spratlys are also outside the treaty lines of the Treaty of Paris. I am not saying that we do not have any right over the Scarborough Shoal and the Spratlys. In fact, we have two presidential decrees issued by President Marcos fortifying our rights thereon by virtue of the exclusive economic zone under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. However, under international law, we are not allowed to use force or violence or engage in war to defend our EEZ. We are only allowed to use force or violence when it is our sovereignty that is attacked. Under international law, the presidential decrees of President Marcos are considered as domestic laws. They have no effect internationally. What has effect internationally is the internationally recognized Treaty of Paris of 1898. Now, we would not want a war to happen in the Philippines. That's why we are exposing this to all our people, because the United States is pushing for a war to happen in the Philippines, just like in Ukraine, wherein there will be a limited war and all the bombings will be limited in the Philippines, the devastation will be limited in the Philippines, the dying will be limited among the Filipinos.
Just like in Ukraine today.
Just like in Ukraine today. And the Americans will just supply us with arms. Remember that there is no automatic retaliation from the US as far as the Americans are concerned. It has to go through their legislative process. So, just like what is happening in Ukraine, they will just supply us with obsolete and overpriced weapons so that we will fight war against China so that the economy of Asia will be brought downward.
Okay. Let me just read from the report further. Itong ginawa ni Emperor Akihito, expressing remorse for the Second World War, is very significant at ito'y pinag-aaralan ng lahat. Kasi anong role ng Emperor? Akihito's role is narrowly defined. Talagang defined dyan. He cannot really move because he's symbolic of the entire nation. But in this case, he had to say something. And he is, sabi ng reports, analysis, expected to stay above the fray. Hindi siya sumasali sa gulo. So any remarks he makes that stray into the political, however obliquely, kahit na hindi diretsahan, are parsed, meaning ina-analyze for possible meaning. And Mr. Abe, Shinzo Abe's predecessor, yung mga prime minister na nakaraan, offered apologies for colonial rule and aggression in the 50th and 60th anniversaries, itong mga nakaraan. But this is now the 70th anniversary of the Second World War. Ayaw mag-apologize si Shinzo Abe. But he has hinted he is unlikely to repeat that. Pinahiwatig na ni Abe na hindi siya mag-apologize. Let's see if the message of the Emperor will force him to apologize when the anniversary comes in, I think, September. Okay. Then I'll go to Ado. And saying instead he wants to issue a forward-looking statement. Yung kay Abe, let's move forward. Let's move on. Yung excuse that usually, when they don't want to face an issue. That sentiment, this is a Japanese reacting also, has caused disquiet among Japanese liberals and anger in Beijing and South Korea, Seoul, South Korea, which insists that Tokyo needs to say sorry for its war history. Now, we have to be very careful. This is a real issue for the nation to think about kasi maraming nagbubuyo sa bayan na to create tension. We were discussing with Mr. Jojo Bora earlier and he was saying we should show strength. Now, everybody wants to show strength laban sa China. But why don't we show strength laban sa Amerika na tayo'y malaya na magdesisyon for our interest? China, working with Latin America, is laying thousands of kilometers of railways, roads, and so on, opening the Nicaragua Canal. In Africa, it's the same thing. In every country they're working with, it's positive. What is the West America doing Africa? Sending troops. They destroyed Libya. They're destroying Syria. And so on. Si Jojo, we'll go to Jojo for a while. We'll hear from Ado first. Ado.
The apology of the Emperor is very timely because everybody's going insane and emotional over this issue. Why? Because 1 million Filipinos died during World War II. And this posture is precisely the posture that we should be adopting when we regard China. We should not be afraid to expose to China our weaknesses. I want to react against the strength. Because China already knows our weaknesses. We are incapable of defending anything. Regards the United States, even before, they will not even submit this to the Congress with due apologies. My friend, Mr. Passion. Why? Because the State Department position on the Spratlys and the Scarborough Shoals is that these are outside of the Mutual Defense Treaty. Because the Mutual Defense Treaty was signed in 1951, and as you can see here, and when Marcos issued there was no claim to the Scarborough Shoals and no claim to the Spratly Islands during that time. So, all of these claims happened after the Mutual Defense Treaty.
Okay.
Now, how do we show our strength to the U.S. to connect with your statement? Ambassador, Secretary del Rosario and BS Aquino should force a negotiation for the amendment of the Mutual Defense Treaty to include the Scarborough Shoals, the Spratlys, and Sabah. And lastly, I would like to say, the reaction to the Chinese to the statement of BS Aquino about this Nazi is really that already that BS Aquino has admitted he's a student of history, but the Chinese are saying, no, he's not just a student of history. He is ignorant of history.
Okay.
See? So
Sige.
the real Nazis here, if I were to go back to history, were really the Japanese, who were in fact part of the Axis powers. So I
Okay.
don't know whose
Jojo.
speechwriter he was reading. You know?
Jojo, quickly.
I have to react a little to all these statements. I agree with you from a position of strength. what is our strength? That treaty happened when there was no Spratly Islands yet. But we discovered the Spratly Islands. The rules of discovery is, kung tayo ang nakadiscover, atin yan. That is my attitude.
Okay.
That is our position of strength. So that is how we will face both the Chinese and Americans, that this Spratly Islands was ours because we discovered it. Period. That's
Okay,
all.
sige. Now, going back to the Second World War, let me just show you this irony of claiming some other people are Nazis. Ang lolo po ni Benigno Aquino Jr., the senior, is a collaborator of the Japanese. Here are the proof, no? Can we show the pictures? Ready ka na ba, Lala? Okay, let's see. We're still waiting if we can put up the picture because, well, that is the rallies against yung ginagawa ni Shinzo Abe, no? Sige, tuloy mo lang, i-roll mo lang kung whatever. Yan, yung mga opposition doon sa reinterpretation of the Constitution, and the US bases in Japan. What about the other one, yung pictures nung Second World War, puppet government? Can you put that up, Lala? Yan ang Benigno Aquino Sr. And Jose P. Laurel inaugurating the puppet government. Ayan si General Homa, katabi si Laurel, and then katabi si Benigno Aquino Sr. So they were collaborators. Rafael Alunan's father is somewhere there. This is Benigno Aquino Sr. So this government, this puppet government, was an ally of Nazi Germany because it's an ally of Japan. So they should be careful when they make speeches. Sige, we have 3-4 minutes left. Go ahead.
I'm not saying that, as I have said earlier, that we do not have any right over the Scarborough Shoal and the Spratlys. What I am saying is that we should not promote any war anymore in this part of the world, wherein Filipinos will do the dying and the land of the Philippines will be devastated. Remember, during World War II, Manila was the most devastated city after Warsaw. And it was American bombs that destroyed Manila, not Japanese bombs. When the Americans at the beginning of war declared Manila as an open city, the Japanese respected that. They did not bomb Manila. But towards the end of the war in 1945, when the Japanese declared Manila as an open city, the Americans still bombed Manila.
Okay, we have last 30 seconds. No?
So we have to pursue our claim on the Spratlys and on the Scarborough Shoal, but on peaceful means, using peaceful means.
Last 30 seconds, I'd just like to address this to Rene Sagisag, who is organizing a rally on June 12 against the US and against China. Stay out daw. But that is burying our head in the sand, evading the issue. The issue, we must make a policy stand on this. Sino ba ang makakatulong ng Pilipinas to develop? Sino ang makakasira ng development sa Asia na yumayaman today? These are the questions. Help us answer it. In our next episode, we'll discuss it again. So let's now take this break at balik kayo dahil qualified po ba? We'll discuss that.
At least balance.